Fine.
There it is. Okay. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the world of Lisa as a mother-daughter coach. And today I am bringing to you Emma. And Emma has been in my world for a number of years. I met her back in 2000 and I think it was 16. So, Emma is a coach. Emma is a mum of a daughter, and she's also a vet. So she's a career woman. And today I would love to welcome her into this space and for the opportunity for Emma to actually share with you all her journey as a parent. So, about 3 years ago, Emma joined me in my Empowered Mothers Mastermind. And it was at a time, Emma, wasn't it, when lots of change was taking
Um,
place for you in your
Huge
world.
amount of change. Yes, for sure. Thanks,
Yeah.
Lisa. Yeah.
And so Emma has graciously stepped up and would like to share her journey with you as a parent, but also some experience or feedback in regards to working with me during that time. And so we're going to open the floor to Emma to share, and I hope you take lots away from today's discussion.
Thank you, Lisa. That's great. Yeah, I've got a little 11 and a half year old and very preteen at the minute, very precocious, and she's going really well now. And we're both going really well now. But yeah, when I reached out to you for coaching, I've been knowing each other for such a long time. I knew it was something I needed to work on, my parenting. And I just had such sad feelings about my parenting and such a feeling that I wasn't doing it well enough that I needed to upgrade how I was doing it. And I reached out, and then I found the whole process really overwhelming, and I was unable to finish the course that you did. Like, it was a beautiful course that we started, and I was being racked with guilt, about shame, I guess, about how I wasn't measuring up, even though it was lovely to connect with the people in your group. And yeah, and I just jumped ship. I just jumped to the other end of the state, so it wasn't on you at all. I just done this amazing big change in our life. And I remember feeling really bad about not being able to connect, and you followed up a couple of times and not being able to finish, but that was just where I was at. But I'm really grateful looking back on it, as it was a really key step for me to have that realization about my parenting. And I think the take home from your course was self-care is key. And I was just on that start of that self-care journey. And once we look after ourselves, we can be so much more available to our kids and our daughters in my case. So, but yeah, what do you remember? Was I a naughty person in your course? I can't remember.
Um, yeah, I was it really at that time, I know that I really encouraged you to speak to me and to take that time and to acknowledge where you're at. And I know it was hard for you to actually step back and, you know, really reflect where you were as a parent. And I know as a parent myself, it is really hard sometimes to look and go, where, like, what needs to change? What can
Mm,
I do, to help myself? How can I dig myself out of this hole that I feel like I'm in at the moment? And we were just speaking before we hopped on here about being single parents or single
mm,
moms
yeah,
in particular in
yeah.
today's
Mm,
society, where we feel like we have to have the ability to hold everything together,
mm,
and where we feel that sometimes we're failing in that.
mm,
And, there's no shame in acknowledging that. But even though we
mm,
do feel like that at that time,
mm, yeah.
um, but there is no shame. It's really that self-awareness and being able to
Mm.
speak up and say, hey, I actually need the village.
Yeah, and I actually need some help. So my backstory was that I'm a bit of a self-raised 80s kid, a 74 version. And my mum was very emotionally unavailable for me. I'm the eldest of five, and my dad was off the scene before I was born and was quite negative in my life. So I didn't have a very good sense of self at all growing up, and had a lot of what developed into self-hatred by the time I was a teenager. And I was also told by my mum, bless her little cotton socks, things like she had 5 children. I'm the eldest of 5, and I wasn't allowed to care for the younger ones. I wasn't allowed to help her, to assist. I wasn't allowed to touch them. I was like, it was all kinds of weird stuff spoken into my world that made me feel that I was not good at caring, and I was unloved and not good enough by both of my parents. And so there's a lot of rejection there. So when I wanted to become a mum, I was 35 and decided I really wanted to become a mum. I did a bit of a career stuff before that, flying around the world doing fun stuff as a vet and representing Australia, having lots of fun being single and earning money. And then I had this dual thing within me, which was this desire to be a mum and this fear of being a mum at the same time. And it was very complex. And I obviously, when you become a parent, you start to look at your stuff that you've been you've been built up on or grown up on, and you don't necessarily know is there, like the stories that you've taken in as self-belief. And then I also had a toxic partner who I had to leave within, like, the first time I left the house was when Jazz was a week old. He became unsafe, and I went away for a week. So I had a cesarean, and he wasn't coping. So I went away for a week and nobody guided me. So a week later I went back, and I ended up fleeing that relationship 3 more times. And in the end, I said, you have to move out now, because every time I would take Jazz and we'd be displaced. And he was very not in control of his emotional world. And he grabbed onto the fact that I had this duality in me and this fear about being a parent, and he used that against me, and he still tries to use it against me now, even though we're 7 years separated. Divorced now too. But yeah, so it's been a big learning curve of, how did I get created? Like, what were my thought patterns around becoming a parent? I love my daughter more than anything else. I've never failed. I've never hurt her. I've never, I've always looked after her. For me, I say I was kind of fed and housed. That was kind of but I never got any parenting or coaching or guidance as a child. So for me to then turn around and provide that for my beautiful little daughter, she was, when she was born, she was 1 month old when I turned 40. So I was an older mum. And so it was just this, I had to deal with all these false beliefs about myself in a toxic environment, which is probably how I got in that toxic environment. And then this strong urge to do the best for her, and I'd already done a lot of work for myself before I became a mum, but going into a proper relationship and having a child takes it to the next level again of learning about self. And when I signed up for coaching, I just literally moved us as a single mum to the other end of the state, in a bit of a huge, brave move to try and get us to where we could be stable. I was still being pursued and harassed down south, and it was very, and I didn't have any support down south as well. So the move up north was frowned upon by the court system, but was what I needed to do to work and have Jazz in school and live all in the same town. Down south, I built this amazing, beautiful house, beautiful property, but I was having to drive away from my daughter and leave her in grade 2. And one day she was sick and I was 3.5 hours away, and it was just the most horrible feeling, and I didn't have any support in that town. So even though we're further away from family the rest of the time, we've got an airport just up the road and a short flight back to Sydney, where we're from. And day to day, like, it was a much better move for us to have structure, stability, be in her life a lot more, be able to get to school things. But it was very hard. And of course, having a toxic ex, he used everything he could, including my daughter, to mess with that. And so that's exactly the thing about when we were talking, and when I was in that, I had my family was not supportive of me. He was actively trying to take me down. I ended up living, when I remember dialing into your calls, and I was living actually on quite a toxic property as well, in somebody's backyard. It was very, very full on. So trying to just breathe and keep and not go under financially. I wanted to leave where we were living, but we would have gone homeless had I done that. And I had to make some tough decisions, and I had to lose one of our dogs, and I'm a vet, so I'm very much about dogs. So I struggled for 8 months to keep our beautiful boy Jack alive and rehome him. And in the end, I sadly put him to sleep, which was really hard because I can't dump animals anywhere. I know how many unwanted animals there are. And and he was becoming a risk. He was $30 in boarding every day. And it was basically, if I moved us out of our home because of where we were at financially and all these court cases and everything, we would have been at risk of going homeless or me losing my job. So he took the fall for us, which has broken my heart, and it broke my daughter's heart. And we've been doing pet sitting and got a cottage named in his honor now. It was just some really tough times. So so it was pretty messy there for a while, but anyway, we're doing better now. So
I was just thinking as you were speaking, like you really have been through some tough times, and you've had to make some really tough calls. And I honor you in the fact that you've had to make those tough calls to rise above, to be that mum for Jazz. Like that takes a lot of courage. And there's some people that will really resonate with what you're sharing today. They'll resonate with your story to know that they know that there's a better way, and as a mum, because like, even though you obviously didn't have the role model or those possible skills that you feel that you needed when you walked into being a mum, and you didn't have that network, that community, that family support, you've still risen above that and said, there has to be a better way. I have to make these really tough choices. And my goodness, you have, and look at where you are now, where you've arrived. So I know at the time, when you started my mastermind, that you really did want to do the mastermind, but you felt that it was way too much at that time when you were trying to hold everything else together. So what has helped you, I guess, to get from that point in your life to where you are now? Like I know the difference. Like I've followed your journey. I followed your journey through your social media posts and knowing you and being a part of your world. So would you share that with the audience today?
Sure, yeah. So I became a coach, met Lisa coaching, and became a coach back in 16, 17, and was coaching before I did the move. I had to go back to a pay-as-you-go job to enact my divorce and not lose everything. They don't really support women who are self-employed with mortgages. And so I thankfully just kept looking to you guys who were wise women who had what I wanted. So you had the relationship with your daughter that I wanted, and a steadiness about you, and a love, and a visible love of your daughter. And I wanted to emulate that. And I remember coaching with Eva, and Eva, I call her my divorce coach. I'm not sure she'll be happy with that, but she had this courage that I wanted. Like, she was so courageous and smart and fierce, and she was able to bring out in me that strength that I needed to, that is in there. But in me, as all of us, there's broken parts of us and sad parts of us, and there's strong parts of us and visionary parts of us. And she was able to help me navigate the ugliness of divorce, because I'm such a people pleaser. I had such a history of desertion in my childhood that, of course, I grabbed onto somebody in a relationship and hung on, and desertion seemed the worst thing in the world. And I was willing to and put up with a lot of stuff just to have that person in my world. But I didn't want that for Jazz. I didn't want that for me. And so there's this burgeoning self-love that I was like, I see these people who are actually happy. I want that happiness for me and my daughter. So it was just getting help and learning and constantly learning. So I learned from you, I learned from Eva, I learned from books and gosh, Mel Robbins online and all the coaches that are out there. And I still learn every day. Whenever I question something, because I love getting counseling and coaching, and I've got a beautiful psychologist as well. And if I have a question about the world, I write the question in Google and I put psychology.com. So I might have a psychologist answer it because there's every answer you want out there on the internet. And so it's just been this voracious appetite to just not in a rush, just steadily keep evolving. And it's taken me a really long time to settle down my nerve pathways that I grew up with. You know, I had nerve pathways that were so well defined that I was worthless and unlovable and all these things, all these fears that we know from Tony Robbins and all our coaches that humans have, but I had not had any other nerve pathways grow. But over time, I've been able to develop and grow new pathways. And now I've done the work to love myself and to sit with myself and be comfortable with myself. So when I feel something starting to grip me, I'm aware of it. And then I just, I've done some body work recently too, Kunyin feminine movement, which I'm going to teach in. And that's like a body-led healing as well, and listening to your body and tuning into your body. So that if I'm starting to get triggered, like I was having a beautiful breakfast the other morning and the conversation was about, it was a dad and his relationship with his kids and his exes, and I was feeling really like tight in my stomach and triggered. And I just checked in with myself. What is this? I feel anxious. And then I was able to just say, hey, would it be all right if we just stop this conversation here at the minute? And we'll revisit it later on. But I've got a lot of sensitivities around this because there's a lot of triggers in this for me. And would it be all right if we go back onto safer ground? And he was able to respect that and move forward into a different area with me, which was a lovely feeling to have someone who wanted to respect that and not just say whatever they had to say and continue on their pathway, but was sensitive enough to take a breath and respect that. And so I guess it's been about me learning how to respect me and learn about me and my journey. And yeah, so lots of help. Oh my gosh, lots of help. And it's not been easy and it's so hard. Like I got kicked out of my role up here as well. Like it didn't end at the moving up here. Like there's ridiculous levels, but I guess the people who get through are the people who keep showing up and just keep trying. And my daughter and she's a pain sometimes. Oh my gosh, she's such a pain. She's like me. She's like me if she wasn't a shut down version. She's got big opinions and, as daughters are, they, iron sharpens iron, but she's her safety, stability is my primary care. And I know now, I've finally learned it through all the coaches, that the more stable I am and the better I'm looking after me, the more stable I am for her emotionally, financially, everything really. Like, yeah. That was a really long answer. Sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry, because so much goodness has come from what you just actually shared. And it is a steady process. That's one thing I took from that, is it is a steady process. It's not a race, definitely not a race. And like my two are growing, they're young adults, and it's been a learning journey, but I've always had that vision of my purpose has been their mum. And I was a single mum like you there for a while. They didn't choose not, for that to all unfold and to break up and for them to have to live in two separate homes. And so my vision was to be the best mum, the best version of me that I could be. And I know through that journey, as you have actually spoken of, is that we keep rising, we keep improving, we keep evolving, and we learn through that process. We're not given, even though there's parenting manuals out there, situation is its own unique situation. Our children are their own unique children. And one thing that I've learned from the whole journey is that our children are our greatest learners, or teachers, our greatest teachers.
Aren't they just? Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the other thing I've learned that seems to resonate with that is that so I'm the eldest of 5, and I'm the black sheep in the family. I can't remember what the psychologist calls it, like the scapegoat person. And so there's a whole lot of interesting psychology around that, and hence not having support of my family. And just to understand that every child in a family has different parents, even if they've actually got the same parents, because they are born into a people's relationship at a different time. And that person, whether we like it or not, we're evolving. Sometimes we're not changing much, but we're like, we grow and life changes us if we let it, or we change it if we're doing coaching and we're more in control of things. But yeah, so every child that's born into that family actually has a totally different experience. And that was really freeing to understand, because, my mum and stepdad since have done a pretty good job. Like, they've definitely did the best they could do at the time. And I'm really grateful to them. But my experience was my experience. And it is not my sister's experience. It's not my 3 younger siblings' experience. And I don't try and say what their experience was. Their experience was quite different to mine. And that has been backing myself, I think, and actually saying, like, I had always denied my experience to myself. And the other thing about learning little T trauma, I thought, you've not been physically abused, you've not been molested, these things. How can you have trauma? What's wrong with you to be like this if you didn't go through a trauma? But actually I had neglect and I had little T trauma, and a lot of my needs were not met. And that to understand that exists and that it's valid, like that my experience is valid, and it definitely shaped me. And it's been so freeing just to say, okay, like, it's okay. And my journey is not to be measured against anybody else's journey. It is my journey, and I just am on my journey, and I want to be my best me and keep learning about it. And just thick application of self-care and self-compassion, which was not in my repertoire at all. And it was not in the repertoire of any of my family. Like, I know, looking at all of their struggles, my aunts and uncles, my parents, my grandparents, that none of them had any self-compassion. And they're all really hard on themselves. And there's high addictions, there's high distress, depression, there's all these things, because we're all pretty high achievers and pretty smart, actually, most of them. I'm not sure of all of them, or artistic. But actually, like, really in our heads, and really, I think, our own worst enemies as well. So I've had to really reshape my brain, and that's the best thing about doing NLP early, learning about how we work, how our brain works, how we can redesign our thinking, how we don't have to believe what our brain's saying, how we can replace it with more positive thinking. And I remember this overwhelming shame when I came to your class, because the ladies were lovely, they're just normal ladies, but I was dealing with my own internal shame from, it was a pretty toxic environment externally that I was sitting in, and my shame buttons were really being pushed. And I had Jazzy seeing the psychologist, and her dad told her not to trust the psychologist, so she was reacting really badly to that. And it was really complicated. So I was doing the best I could do at that time, and it was really stretching me. And she was under a lot of pressure as well, and all kinds of weird things that her family had said down south. And I just had to, like, breathe, tell myself there was no lion chasing me, that I was safe, that I had time just to breathe, just to do the next few minutes, just to get through the next bit, just to look after myself and calm myself down, and just be there for her for another couple of minutes, and just in time start to heal and start to break the cycles. And I'd known I had to leave that relationship because I'd done a lot of work in my youth. I was very yelled a lot and stuff in my youth. I remember having a fight with a friend on a street. Like, it was really ugly. And I knew I didn't want to be a part of that world. And I knew that it was all my trauma. And so I grew myself up out of that. But then in relationship, it tests you again. And you've got to learn about being in a relationship. And then being a mum, it tests you again. But I saw myself going backwards in that relationship, back to this emotional reactivity that I hadn't had for 20 years. And I was like, what is going on? And people, I don't know if they mean to do it or not, but if there is a coercive control or domestic violence situation, they want to see the worst in you because it makes them feel better about themselves, and so they do try and feed that. And I was so surprised at my behavior, and I was like, I'm just at the edge of it. I was like, I'm not this person. I don't want to be this person. I need to take action to get myself out of here because I'm proud of me. I've always been proud of the work I've done, and I'm definitely getting a better life for my daughter. I'm not letting her go through all the sadness. Like, I went through all this sadness in my life, and she's not going to have any of that.
Oh, so
yeah.
beautiful. That is really beautiful. And, you know, back then, like, I know that you struggled with being able to articulate where you were at with me, and the overwhelm that you were experiencing. And like, I know that I kept trying to hold space for you, and I never took that personally because I just knew there was something in my heart, even though you were struggling being able to articulate that with me. I knew that there was something bigger happening in your world that I was not aware of at that time. And so, you know, I now know 3 years down the track that I've done my own healing journey, and I just continually do that because I want to be that, you know, the best version for myself and for my children, and to be that shining light. And also to realize that we don't have to keep recreating that pain. You know, those painful situations, though.
Big one. Yeah, it's such a big one.
Yeah. And, you know, when
Mm.
you were talking about, even though you weren't molested or that you weren't physically abused, and in our society, we have really looked at trauma in that way, you know, that all these major traumas, right? And some are more major than others. But it's so true that if you're neglected and your needs are not met, that you're living in survival mode. And so you're actually, your nervous system that's how it responds to that. You keep living in survival mode. And so many people are walking around like that.
Yeah,
Not
absolutely.
being aware, they don't understand. Like,
absolutely. And that's our emotional home. And so that's why I looked at you and your calmness and your openness to your daughter, and I'm like, I want that. And I see these people, you know, in my vet world who are married to other smart, kind people, and they have a calm, loving home or life. And I'm like, from what you can see, and I want that. You know what I mean? I could see that there's this different way of being. And I was like, I want that. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to get there. I don't think I've ever experienced it, but I'm seeking it. And so I guess that's my advice to everyone is you can have anything. You just got to get your eyes on it, write it down, and start taking steps towards it. Surround yourself by people who live it and breathe it and speak it, and gently and lovingly let go of people who's not interested in living that better life for you, like with you, and improving their life. If that's their journey, and you can love them but from a safe distance, like love them and let them go, basically, and thank them for, in your heart, maybe not personally, for serving their purpose and your need, then the need that you had in your life at that time, and for teaching you the lessons that they have taught you, and then but seek people who are supporting you to be your best self and moving forward. And so for me, that's been coaches. I've got this beautiful psychologist that my horrible work is paid for ages. So that's great. Yay. That's one good thing. We're writing a book for vets on trauma and high achievement, because how many people are high achievers? But like Gabon Mate with the little T, trauma speaks about high achievers. They're out there proving themselves to the world, and but they often behave really badly in their interpersonal relationships because they've got trauma. That's why they're driven to be such high performers, and yet their relationships are so sad. And that's me. That's where I was. That's where he was. That's where I reckon a lot of high achievers are. They push themselves so hard to prove their value in this world, and yet happiness comes from progress and relationships, really. And
it's the relationship you have with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, like that's the core. It's the relationship that you have with yourself, because when you are happy within, and when you're content, and when you're at peace with your world, it shines out, it radiates out, it ripples out into the world. Yeah. And I know you mentioned about self-care, and that is something that I'm really like, that's high on my agenda of self-care, because so many women, so many mums, they really don't do that for themselves. It's always, I need to put time here. That's what I have to prioritize. My children are who I have to prioritize. My partner or my husband is who I have to prioritize. My work is what I have to prioritize. All of
Culture, isn't it? It's so
yeah.
cultural that we would leave ourselves behind. And then I was like, I mean, I've been out in the paddock with sheep this morning, so I probably look a bit like that. But I've been doing some drenching of sheep. But you know, and then I was really angry at like all the beauty therapies, because I was like, why would I want to look good for all these men that treat me so badly? Because I was hanging around really bad men. Um, but now, like, I've got my nails done, I've got my hair beautiful, I love it because I'm loving on myself for myself. And so, and then it's funny, people treat you as you present yourself. So if you treat yourself as valuable and loved by yourself, people will treat you as valuable. And if you treat yourself as non-valuable, people will treat you as non-valuable. And it's a harsh world out there. Like, it really is harsh. And there's this weird thing that, you know, women have been groomed to give and give and give of themselves. And then the world will easily, or your husband after 30 years will sometimes spit you out, like, and go and refresh themselves, feed off somebody else now, or, you know, workplaces will do that as well, especially in perimenopause women. Don't even get me started on that. Like,
whole different story.
But yeah, so my journey is looking at, you know, the wisdom of us. I'm probably a bit older than you, but you know, the maternal wisdom, you know, and leadership, and but self-leadership. And I can see in my mum that I was just like her. She didn't love herself. She rejected herself physically. She, you know, was believing all of the rhetoric around. She's a very beautiful lady, but never felt enough, never felt accepted, because she wasn't perfection and perfect. And I just am not interested in doing that with my daughter. I just want to make sure that we look after ourselves, we love our bodies, we you know, celebrate our bodies, you know, we really enjoy them, and and then we enjoy our relationships as well. So less about what the world's telling us to think and believe, and more about having internal health and self-love. And yeah.
And it's really protecting your mind. Like, you're the gatekeeper. I heard that ages ago. You're the gatekeeper of your mind. You know, so it is all about, besides, you know, giving yourself that self-love and that self-care, it's also about protecting your mind, what you're feeding your mind, what you're taking in. Because, if you start to believe what you know, we're conditioned to believe, and what we're being told, that we need to be this standard, you know, that can really make you come undone.
Is that what you teach the kids when you're doing preteen stuff? That's what I've been.
Yes, really learning to accept yourself, embrace yourself, love yourself, honor yourself, and realize that, you know, you need to set boundaries around those relationships and around what you will tolerate.
Yeah, I know. And it's such a hard time, isn't it? I've been reading a book about the tribalism in those pre-pubescent girls, and because that's where Jazz is up to. And it's gosh, it's a tough environment out there for them, but it's been great to understand. They, you know, say as they come to the realization they're going to leave their home tribe and join another tribe, and so there's a lot of vying for position and attention, and it's really interesting. But it's very it's good. I think those key things about helping her with her, know that she doesn't have to believe what other people are speaking over her, or what her brain's telling her, that she can redirect that and learn to be kinder to herself. As those skills that I wish I'd had when I was little. But anyway, I get them when I'm old. So that's okay. I don't feel very old. I've got 30. She gave me a 30th birthday card for my 50th, so I feel good about that. Go back.
It's funny how so many mums say, you know, or even just parents in general, like mums and dads that come to me, like, they say, you know, these skills that you provide for your preteens and your teens, like they're skills that I would have loved to have had when I was growing up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so many adults say that. And so it's not too late for mums and
No,
dads out there,
not at
or
all.
parents, caregivers, you know, it's all there available for you. You
Mm,
just need to say,
absolutely.
yes, this is where I'd like to be and this is what I want to
Just
do.
lean in, start watching us on Facebook and Instagram, and watching all the and following who we follow and the coaches, and work with us, work with Lisa for some parenting. So I mean, it's funny because like I was like a failure of your course, but at the same time you were just what I needed at the time, and it helped me because it was as much as I could do at that time.
Yes.
And you didn't judge me, and you weren't harsh on me, and you were just present and loving and consistent for me, and that was as much as I could do at that time. And then, but that modeling for me was about, how do I be like that? How do I be less judgmental? How do I be open? How do I not take it personally? How do I, there's such beautiful modeling in that I've never felt separated from you. And there was one lady who I coached, and I reached back out to her, and she really feels hurt by me, and I'd love to explore that with her. And it was really interesting because in my mind, it had been quite a successful relationship. So I don't know what's going on with her. I don't think it, well, if anybody else has got a problem, please let me know. But I don't think anybody else has got a problem. But yeah, it's, so it was really important steps. It was just as much as I could do at the time, but it helped me keep moving forward. And so don't feel that I wasn't a total failure. I've got here in the end. It just took me a long time.
Yeah. And you know what? You'll keep moving forward. Like you, as Jazz, like you said, she's preteen. Once she's in, you know, the teen years, you'll be challenged on a different level. And don't be afraid of the teen years. Like there is this little perception that, oh my goodness, they're teens and they're going to be off the rails. And that doesn't necessarily need to be true.
Yeah.
So, you know, like my daughter and my son just taught me so much in the teen years, so much about myself, and also making me step back and go, oh, they've got a point there that, you know, I need to change something up, like, or improve an area of my life, you know, that type of thing. So, I've just loved being a mother. I've loved it.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it.
And a coach. Brilliant coach. Thank you for the work that you do. That's so good.
Yeah, thank you. So to wrap it up today, would you like to share with the audience, you know, if they would like to follow you on social media, where they could find you?
Yeah, sure. I'm on Facebook, I think, Dr. Emma Davis Veterinarian, and Insta as well. Oh my gosh, I did YouTube, but no, not YouTube. Which one is it? TikTok. And one went viral, got 110,000 views, but it's of a vet disaster. So you'd have to go and find that one. But I think I'm Emma Davis Veterinarian on that one. Oh my gosh, it was so bad. People from all over the world. But anyway, and I put it on TikTok. But no, we're absolutely open to connecting, and open to chatting. Recommend working with Lisa. She's been in it for the long haul. I've watched her journey. So authentic. It's really great. Changes lives. So jump on board.
Thank you so much. Thanks for that shout out, Emma. And it's been so lovely connecting with you today and having this chat. And I know so many people will resonate with your story. They'll take so much away from this conversation. So thank you and take care. And I wish you all the best. Say hello to Jazz for me.
I will. No worries. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. I'll